Hello everyone, this is the Mgtow Cowboy. Greetings and salutations. This evening I want to do a commentary video that also is going to second as a shout out video. This shout out video is to, his name is DDJ, and he runs a site, or his channel is called Misandry Today. I'll say that again. His name is DDJ, and the site is Misandry Today. DDJ apparently was, I think, if I remember correctly, he was part of like TFM's crew. But then, I don't know, something happened. They had like a falling out, and I don't know, they parted ways. I don't think it was amicable. Whatever. I like them both, though. I still like them both. Yeah, and so DDJ, he went on to do his own thing, made his own channel. It's prolific, tons of videos. So again, shout out to him. Please check out his channel. It's real good if you guys never heard of it. DDJ, or I'm sorry, it's called Misandry Today. And so I'm going to play a 10-minute video by him, and I'm going to, add some commentary, but it's gold. This is just gold. This guy is well researched. And again, this is one of his first videos. I think it's like his 5th or 6th video. It's called Avoiding Marriage is Not Enough. So without further ado, DDJ over at Misandry Today.
Welcome to the dojo, the series where I'll teach you the Mgtow skills necessary to identify and protect yourself from gynocentric and feminist threats. While I already had plans to discuss this issue, a Patreon member provided me the motivation to address this subject sooner rather than later. With that in mind, it's time for your first lesson. Many people believe that the reason married men get taken advantage of by women is because they quote-unquote chose the wrong woman. However, a fair number of blue-pilled men also blame and shame these men for allowing themselves to be divorce raped or otherwise victimized. Further, some even go so far as to say that the targeted man had it coming. As more and more men take the red pill and start perceiving a woman's hypergamy and female nature for what they truly are, they're starting to avoid marriage. On September 14th, 2017, the Pew Research Center published a report entitled, "As U.S. Marriage Rates Hover at 50%, Education Gap in Marital Status Widens." While this article is focused on marriage as it relates to education, they disclose a very important fact. They state, half of U.S. adults today are married, a share that has remained relatively stable in recent years, but is down 9 percentage points over the last quarter century and dramatically different from the peak of 72% in 1960, according to new release census data. That's right. In 1960, before the rise of feminism, 72%, or almost 3/4 of American adults, were married. Today, that number has dropped to 50%. This represents a 33% decrease in marriage thanks to feminism's war on marriage. A month later, in October 2017, the Pew Research Center published the report, "The share of Americans living without a partner has increased, especially among young adults." In it, they state, "The share of young adults who are unpartnered has increased across the young and the middle-aged, but the rise has been most pronounced among young adults. Roughly 6 in 10 adults younger than 35 years old, 61%, are now living without a partner or spouse." Thus, since second-wave feminism's war on marriage began in the 1960s, one of the long-term consequences is that not only has the marriage rate dropped by 33%, but 6 in 10 unmarried adults under 35 are refusing to live with their girlfriends and boyfriends. This is one of the reasons that I always say that feminism destroyed the social contract between men and women. With that in mind, lots of men, especially PUAs, tradcons, and other red pill bros, think that avoiding marriage by itself.
Okay, let me pause it right there and just add, yeah, it's even worse than that. I mean, that's just in this country. I'm hearing in other countries it's pretty much the same. In South Korea, I think. South Korea has the lowest birth rate of any country in the world. It's even more pronounced there. Coming in second, I think, is Japan. It's the same thing in Japan. The government just can't get people to marry. No one will marry. Men just won't touch women. They won't couple up with them. They won't marry, and they won't commit. This is even becoming a problem in China now. So it's worldwide. He's talking about the Pew Research Institute, which is like that's in America, but this is worldwide, and this is feminism. This is feminism writ large.
Is the solution to avoid having their assets stolen, reputation destroyed, and otherwise be divorce rape. They're wrong. Once feminism realized that men were starting to protect themselves from divorce rape by avoiding marriage, they worked to change the laws around the world to persecute single men as well. Today in Australia, a man doesn't have to be married to get divorce rape. The Family Court of Australia stated on May 3, 2016, a de facto relationship is defined in Section 4AA of the Family Law Act of 1975. The law requires that you and your former partner, who may be of the same or opposite sex, had a relationship as a couple living together on a genuine domestic basis. Further, ABC News Australia interviewed Rachel Sharer, the founder of DivorceAnswer.com, in June 2017, and she said, "There's no timeline and there's no minimum time period. As long as you and your partner considered yourself in a considered or committed relationship, and as long as other people recognize that, then you're in a de facto relationship." Even more frightening, she stated, "There's a relationship called de facto by distance, which means that even though you may not be living together exclusively and full-time, as long as you stay in each other's house or home when you're in each other's local space, then you're definitely considered in a de facto relationship." Thus, in Australia, even if she doesn't live with you full-time and she just stays the night, or she just leaves her shit in your home, she can divorce rape you. In the United States, multiple states have adopted common law marriage laws. In a very basic sense, they're laws that state that if you and your girlfriend live together for a certain period of time, then you're considered married and can be divorce raped. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, the states that still have common law marriage are Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Montana, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Utah. While Washington State doesn't have common law marriage laws, they do recognize meretricious relationships. DivorceNet, a website published by Nolo, describes these relationships.
Okay, let me make a quick comment right there. This guy, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. I've listened to a number of his videos, and I believe he's a paralegal. He's a paralegal by trade, so he's not necessarily as adept as a lawyer. I shouldn't even use the word adept. He's not necessarily as qualified as a lawyer, but he runs in those circles. So obviously he's gonna know a little bit about this.
As follows. The term meretricious has been historically used to label the cohabitation of unmarried couples. When a cohabitation ends, the couple will usually face the same issues that arise in the divorce. The most common include the following: division of assets and property, paying debts, and determining child custody and child support. Thus, not only can an unmarried man get divorce raped in states that recognize common law marriages, but in Washington state, they can get divorce raped under their meretricious relationship laws. However, even worse than these feminist laws created to divorce rape unmarried men are the feminist-sponsored domestic violence laws. In 1980, the feminists created the Duluth model of domestic violence intervention. Today, it's the most commonly used domestic violence program in the world. In the United States, over 30 states mandate its use. However, even in places that don't use it, they still pattern their DV laws on it. Why is this important? It's because the Duluth model created the world's first civil domestic violence restraining order. Thus, a woman can accuse you of rape, domestic violence, or sexual abuse in a civil court without your knowledge and obtain an order to divorce rape you. This is true even in states that don't recognize common law marriage. Also, I've heard of these types of civil court orders being entered in the UK, Canada, Australia, and other Western countries that have adopted feminist policies. Let me break it down further. What follows are snapshots taken of Washington State's civil domestic violence restraining order request pattern forms. While other state and international jurisdictions' forms may differ, they're all patterned after the Duluth model format and were created to divorce rape unmarried men. In the first picture, a woman can tell the court that you live together and request the court have the police evict you from your home without notice, giving her sole possession and leaving you homeless. Further, she can request the court have the police help her steal your separate property and your car. Thus, she can lawfully steal anything of value you own. Also, she can request the court to order you into counseling, mental health services, or drug rehab, in addition to holding you responsible for any fees and costs associated with her attempt to divorce rape you.
Okay, just another quick comment. Are you guys listening to what he's saying? He's basically saying that slowly but surely, the feminists and people of their political ilk are trying to roll out a system, a legal system, a new legal system where when I say they, I mean women with an axe to grind, women who maybe want to, they want to abuse the man that they're in a relationship with, or if they're leaving, if they're splitting up, maybe the woman wants to be vindictive. Look at the things he's talking about. He's basically saying that you don't even need to marry a woman for her to have the power of what a wife would have. So in point of fact, he's building a case, a very good case, that the proverbial girlfriend who leaves over some clothes, or the girlfriend who leaves over her toothbrush, that's actually going too far now. You can't even allow a woman to leave her clothes at your house, or to leave their toothbrush, or for God's sake, don't let your girlfriend start having mail sent to your house, because it's like, then it's her house. Anyway, I'm just adding my 2 cents there.
Even worse, she can request the court to order you to surrender your lawfully owned firearms and bar you from your Second Amendment right to own a firearm, as well as revoke your lawfully obtained concealed carry permit. So how common are civil domestic violence restraining orders granted in the United States? Well, in 2011, SafeServices.org issued a 12-page special report entitled The Use and Abuse of Domestic Violence Restraining Orders. In it, they state on page 7, one analysis compiled data on final restraining orders mostly in 2002 from 29 state court systems, and found that the rates varied widely across the states. On average, the analysis revealed that 342 final restraining orders were issued per 100,000 persons. When extrapolated to the entire U.S. population, an estimated of 860,000 final orders were granted. Now remember, this is per year. That calculation parallels data from the FBI National Crime Information Center, NCIC, which includes a national registry of restraining orders. Each year, 600,000 to 700,000 permanent orders are entered into the registry. However, 8 states do not participate in the NCIC registry, and many other states have incomplete coverage. For example, in Texas, 25 counties do not report. In California, 17 counties do not have a reliable procedure to enter orders into their database. Given the trend of increasing numbers of restraining order, the best estimate of final restraining orders now issued each year is 900,000. That's right. As of 2011, almost 1 million civil DV restraining orders are granted each year in the U.S. alone.
Okay, I want to make a quick comment. This hits close to home. I was slapped with one of these DV, domestic violence restraining orders, and you heard what he just said. 900,000. 900,000. That's close to 1 million. So it's like essentially every single year, about 1 million men become, frankly, they lose their rights. And sure, maybe some of them might be guilty. Maybe some of them are abusers. I definitely don't deny that. But I think it would behoove us Mgtow men to internalize the idea that a lot of these men are totally innocent. And, they're losing their rights. I mean, quite literally, it's getting to the point where women are relegating men down to the status of a second-class citizen. You heard what he said. You can lose your right to own a firearm. You can, again, just everything he said. The woman can kick you out of your house or your apartment. You still got to pay for your apartment. You still got to pay the rent. And she can, again, she doesn't have to be married to you. She doesn't have to be married. But she gains the power of what a wife would have. And then she can demand that you go see a shrink. And, just think about how humiliating all of this is. Why should the state decide who the winner and the loser is whenever there's a disagreement between a man and a woman. Of course, I disagree with that. But a lot of women, especially a lot of women who want to control their men, they're going to agree with that. And that's what's going on now. Moving on.
And those only represent the permanent orders. They don't include the temporary orders like the initial 14-day orders, nor do they include the orders that actually have set expiration dates. In other words, the 1-year restraining orders or the 5-year restraining orders that many jurisdictions issue prior to issuing the permanent restraining order. The question that begs to be asked is, since the Civil Domestic Violence Protection Order system was implemented by feminists in the early 1980s, how many millions of men around the world have had their lives destroyed through false accusations without ever being charged with a crime? So let's recap. A woman can get a civil domestic violence protection order without any notice to you and have you immediately and forcibly evicted from your home. She can steal your car. She can steal your possessions. She can force you to pay for all the costs associated with her actions. And remember, she can do this in civil court without ever needing to file a police report or have you criminally charged or convicted for a crime. Even worse, if you attempt to do anything to stop her, you'll be arrested and charged for a crime for violating her protection order. So tell me, if you got evicted from your home and had your car stolen, as a homeless person without transportation, how long could you keep your job? More importantly, how long would you survive on the streets? With that in mind, what's the takeaway? It's pretty simple. Like I said earlier, feminism destroyed the social contract between men and women. The best way to protect yourself from being divorce raped as an unmarried man is to avoid committing, cohabitating, or marrying any woman. Sadly.
Okay, I'll sort of leave it there. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he puts it very succinctly. I mean, you know, in order to avoid all this, don't don't get married, don't cohabitate, and don't be in a long-term relationship with any woman. It's unbelievable to think, even if you're just in a long-term relationship with a woman, they can now legally do this to you. It's scary. I mean, it's getting to the point where, you know, if you get into any sort of social transaction with a woman, you're just automatically bumped down to a second-class status. And, you know, I don't know, whatever. I think sometimes maybe that this has something to do with, like, you know, the elites, they want to control us, and it's just